Two balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. This is one back. Walk him off.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Scott Geirman, senior staff writer, DodgerBlue.com. I'm here with my good buddy, managing editor Blake Williams, Dodger Blue. How we doing, man?
Doing okay. Enjoying the off day so far. It's nice to kind of get away from baseball after what the Dodgers did the last 2 days. So hopefully they can get back on track moving forward, but off day was definitely needed.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's wrapping up a tough month for the Dodgers. They go 11-13 in the month of June. What's up, everybody? Welcome in to a Thursday edition. Dodgers go 11-13 in the month of July, their first sub 500 month since 2018. Can you believe that?
It's pretty unbelievable, but also considering how good the Dodgers have been, it's also pretty believable at the same time. It's one of those stats where you first hear it and you're like, wow, that's incredible. And then you kind of think about it more and it's like, yeah, that makes sense, but it's still really impressive. So, I mean, it was bound to happen at some point, and hopefully this is one of those years where the Dodgers don't play as well in the regular season, then just kind of roll through the postseason. Seems like a lot of teams tend to do that now, so hopefully it's a good sign of things to come, even though it's kind of negative right now.
Yeah. We've got a lot to get into. We've got some reasons to give you some pause, and some reasons, surprisingly, if you've tuned into Blake and I, with how the deadline went, you'd think that there's a lot that we could still, harp on. But with the trade deadline, there's a lot that Blake and I love about what the Dodgers have done. And we're going to give you some of the reasons why everybody should take a deep breath, as Dave likes to say, take a night, take a blow. Just let's chill out. The last few days weren't in, representation of the deadline additions. But tonight, Blake's got his Oakland Athletics green on. He's in the spirit of the season, the series coming up. But to recap the series against the Padres, the Dodgers are 3-7 against the Padres so far this year. The short 2-game set, which I'm happy was a 2-game set, and shout out to the 200 in here. We're going to let everybody trickle in. Appreciate you joining on an off day, Dodgers. It wasn't a representation of the team. You got to see, the starting pitching did not hold up. Last night, Clayton Kershaw faltered. Defense let him down. Tyler Glasnow looked fine. He didn't look amazing. He looked good enough to win a ball game. It's just unfortunate that the bullpen blew it again. That's I think the third 5-run lead they've blown, I think, in the last 3 weeks. How surprising is that?
Surprising. The bullpen has been a strength of the team all year, and I think that was for quite a while, that was the only group we really had a lot of confidence in. Mm-hmm. But as we've seen with the starting pitchers failing to do their jobs quite often recently, it's really taken a toll on the bullpen, and maybe Evan Phillips is still kind of trying to get back from the injury he had because he doesn't look right. Blake Treinen, the velocity's down a lot. He kind of downplayed that a bit, but I think it's still concerning whenever a pitcher doesn't have their velocity. Alex Vesia, same thing with the velocity. He said he feels physically great, but the velocity just isn't there. Mm-hmm. I mean, everyone was clamoring for Brent Honeywell to come in and save the game instead of Treinen, and then Honeywell gave up a run the next day. It's just like right now you're kind of relying on Anthony Banda and Daniel Hudson as your only two somewhat trustworthy relievers in the bullpen, and it's tough.
People saying Brent Honeywell too. Now you get Michael Kopech, and then so I would encourage everyone. What's up, everybody? What's up, Aaron? Matty Man. What's up, guys? Kira, appreciate you guys being here. Kenny, thanks for joining the last one as well. I just finished up with Clint about 30 minutes ago. Thanks for following us in here. I'd encourage everyone to kind of wash your palate of that 2-game set, because it's playing against the Padres team that they made moves at the deadline that feel like finishing touching moves on a roster that they feel quite confident in. And that's something that I've given a nod to AJ Preller on, that when you make that type of deal, it's reminiscent of what the Cubs did in 2016. When they went out and was that 2016, correct? When they went out and won a ring, traded for Aroldis Chapman, felt like that was the capping move on their roster. So that's something that I acknowledged from them. And I give a lot of credit to AJ Preller for people thinking he's wacko out of his mind sometimes. that's a move that you make when you feel confident in your farm system and your player development to build that up, that you're okay getting, Jason Adam, Tanner Scott in there to bolster that back end. And that's not a move that I felt that the Dodgers were in a position to make. Do you kind of agree with that, where the Dodgers roster was at?
Yes and no. I mean, I'd never pay those prices for a reliever. The Dodgers tend to get all their best relievers off the waiver wire pretty much, and finding those undervalued players. So I'm not really one who would pay those prices for any reliever. The Padres gave quite a bit for both of them. So I would have passed on that. I don't think the Dodgers should have made those deals, but would have been nice to add another reliever. I have some hope for Kopech kind of figuring it out with the Dodgers. They are kind of a pitching factory and have a lot of success getting those guys to rebound. And like, I think it was Jeff saying it the other day, like, he has all the perfect ingredients you want to put in the Dodger pitching lab to try and figure something out there. So I have some upside there, but I do think they could have used another like set high leverage arm just with how the options have looked. And maybe it'll be like the past where the starters figure it out and then it helps the bullpen click into place and they start getting more days off and less usage out of them. And then everything just falls together. So it's kind of the hope, but who knows if the Dodgers end up acquiring some guy off waivers in the next week or two or a month, and then he ends up being a key part of their bullpen, because it seems like it always happens like that anyways.
It kind of rolls into our theme for, we're just going to toss into the deadline, and then Blake and I kind of have a theme about how, what they did is pretty, glaring of how they viewed the roster. Frandu Friedman, Brandon Gomes, how they viewed their rotation, their bench options there, and hoping to find some consistency in a lineup that has lived and died by lineup consistency and versatility in matchup scenarios. And it's something that we've harped on a lot. And I felt validated that that's the way they attacked the big bats. There weren't really any big bats out there that moved. Writers, analysts, they all said there weren't many big. Ken Rosenthal was big on it. There weren't that many big names that moved. The market just wasn't there. So I felt the Dodgers came away with areas of the roster that they felt they could get. Role players. They got arguably the best starting pitcher to move in Jack Flaherty. But the ball got rolling with James Paxton heading out. Initial quick thoughts about the Big Maple leaving the Dodgers.
I mean, I was surprised by it, but then when I looked into it more, it didn't really shock me too much. He wasn't part of their postseason plans. Could get something back for him and just kind of let him go have an opportunity to pitch somewhere else where he has a guaranteed role. It was getting to the point where the Dodgers have more options than they needed from him with Kershaw back, and they were going to make a trade. We all kind of knew it. River Ryan has looked good. They wanted to give Wroblewski some run. So they still have Landon Knack in the minors, and I think we'd all take Landon Knack and River Ryan and Justin Wroblewski over Paxton. So it was just one of those things where, like, he came in, did his job, gave them innings for the first half of the season, and then they said, okay, we can move on, and hopefully it helps you out as well, and maybe you can go pitch for the Red Sox in the postseason.
Sure. Yeah. And then, we can roll straight in. I really want to get into the 3-team deal between the Dodgers, the Cardinals, and the White Sox. And the Dodgers brought in Tommy Edmond. And we're going to recap some of this tonight, guys, because Blake and I just haven't had a chance to hop on here. Getting Tommy Edmond and Kopech in, what do you think? What do you see Tommy Edmond providing for the Dodgers?
Kind of what they've had Chris Taylor doing for the last 7 years or whatever it's been now. And they've always had a guy on their roster who can play multiple positions and play them well while also providing offensive value. But they haven't had that this year, and we've seen it a lot with them running out Kike, Biggio, Taylor, Miguel Vargas being forced into left field. It's just been, they've had a lot of holes, and they had so many different options on how they could play guys. I think getting versatility was kind of a key for them, because if they need a center fielder, you have Tommy Edmond. If you need a shortstop, now you have Edmond and Rosario. You need a third baseman, you got Rosario if Muncy doesn't come back. Even at second base, if Lux kind of regresses a bit from where he's been recently, or do they just want a platoon option?
Yes.
You have players there now with Rosario, Edmond, Lux, and maybe Mookie when he comes back. In the outfield, Rosario can play it, Edmond can play it, along with all the guys they've had. So they've given themselves a lot of options to put out the best lineup on a daily basis regardless of who that 9 is, because they have the versatility to put guys wherever they want to get them all in the lineup. And I think that
getting ahead of me a little bit. Getting ahead of me. Follow along. We got. I want you. You've got that spot right when we wrap up with. Now they add Ahmed Rosario, who's had a solid slash this year. This is a guy that was with the Dodgers its second consecutive year, but in 275 plate appearances, he's slashed 307, 331, 417. But the numbers at the front, 307 batting average, and it's something that we harped on earlier that we need to find a little, and I see people talking about it in chat, and it's something that the Dodgers have done terribly over their, the last 4 or 5 games. They've just absolutely been striking out way too much to the point where it brings the offense to a full stop. The lack of hits, the lack of production, consistent production, bat to ball. It's stuff that the Padres were doing. They were playing the small ball. You saw them get guys in scoring position, first and third. I'm going to put a bunt down, get that extra run in. It's these opportunities the Dodgers are just not having. So by getting a guy like Tommy Edmond, yeah, Obi, I'm with you. Can't wait to see Tommy Edmond in action. Like, he is someone that, adds, if he's your 8th hitter, that's someone that you love. We're talking about, Dave Roberts echoed it, raising the floor. It's someone guys who have a little bit, you can project them a little bit better. It's about doing anything better than what they've been doing, slotting out there, but looking down the bench and not having players who have under 650 OPS, under 600, eliminating the strikeouts, way too many, getting Miguel Vargas out of the outfield rotation, praying that he can find some consistency with the glove. It's just too much. James Outman, same thing, came up, strikeout rates through the roof. You cannot have an at-bat like he had the other night. It was just embarrassing. We're talking about innings where they're just looking overpowered. And they, you say it's, hitting's contagious. So is striking out. So is poor performance. You've got to find some stop. And I'm very thankful that the Dodgers front office attacked it from that front. If the Pulse, we talked about it. If there is not going to be any big time name moved, it's about being opportunistic. And if the Dodgers didn't feel it, I'm glad they attacked the bench there and find someone, find some group of guys that can bring that up a little bit and take, the floor and the ceiling and bring it more towards the mean. And I'm very happy about that. I know you feel validated a bit there. And how this 2-game set against the Padres looked to Dodger fans and seeing what type of lineup they can put out, but they have a solid catcher platoon. Profar's playing out of his mind. They've got a lot of guys who rise to the occasion because they've got something to play for. And I think that it should, like I was asked on Clint's show, should Dodger fans be afraid of the Padres? Yes, they should be afraid of the Padres because they have a lineup and a roster that they feel confident in from, players doing a job, having a role. And that's where I lead into you, Blake, with the players the Dodgers just added and the positive injury updates that we've had on Mookie, on Muncy. Where do you go from here? Lead us there, buddy.
Well, where they go from here is they just need to get healthy, first and foremost. I put out a tweet yesterday about the 8 guys the Dodgers had on the field at the time. It was Biggio, Kike, and Outman, Hayward, Pages, Nick Ahmed, and Gavin Lux. And when you come into the year with the Dodgers and their high expectations, you're not thinking that's going to be their lineup there. And a lot of that is due to them just not being healthy. And Freddie Freeman, of course, being out. And you haven't got all your guys from the trade deadline to come in yet. But we're going to look at a completely different team in maybe a month or so here. You're going to have Freddie Freeman at first. You're going to have Gavin Lux and probably Ahmed Rosario at second. You're going to have some combo of Edmond, Mookie, whoever they want to put there, Miguel Rojas at shortstop. You're going to have Muncy at third, probably. You'll have Teoscar in left, maybe Rosario and Hayward platooning in right. Edmond a possibility in center with Kevin Kiermaier now. You could even probably kick Mookie back into the outfield and have a better infield with Edmond, Rojas there. It's just going to be a completely different team, and it's why I'm not really putting any stock into the series against the Padres. This isn't the Dodgers team they're going to run out in October. It's not even close to it.
Yeah.
So once they get healthy, get guys back, and put their real lineup on the field, it's going to be a completely different ball game for this team. They're going to be winning a lot more. They're going to have all the talent back, and it's just going to look completely different from what it is now. They're going to get rid of a lot of the guys who are not producing well, like Kike and Biggio, and Outman's going back to AAA, and Pajes might go back to AAA. They already sent Hunter Fiducia down today.
Yep.
So it's just like, it's such a different team than what they're going to have than they have right now.
And the conversation is different. And guys, we're going to get to the super chat, and we want to give an update and, a quick, thought to, Maximus Freeman. But from where the Dodgers team is at in terms of, okay, the only options they have are the guys here. And that was about a week ago going into the deadline, right? So now you're getting post deadline, and now you can kind of start to project and put a thought together about who is going to stick with the team and kind of hammer out some roles for some players here. Because the main thought all along, and what my pause with this team is the uncomfortable feeling I got from where the options were and the versatility, coming into play, and nobody performing there. Nobody was separating. It's easy when you just have a few. And we all have to be thankful that Gavin Lux turned it on and found some switch over the All-Star break, and shout out to him. He's, made it a believer. He looks terrific. He's going to keep playing well. And the fact that the Dodgers feel confident, aside from just, needing someone to play, left-right matchup, he's heading up in the three hole, and he's doing fine. Like, he looks good. So lock him in there. But just like Blake said, looking ahead, this lineup's going to be drastically different. And it's just a matter of the Padres are at where the Dodgers have usually been in years past. So it's just a different feeling, and that panic button is hitting a lot of people, but you've got to look ahead and understand that it takes some time to get a lot of these players into the fold, because Edmond's coming back from some injury. Max Muncy, same thing. Got to get him in there. Mookie within the next few weeks, hopefully, and then roll into it. So we'll see some of these options, really start to trickle in, and then we can hammer in some everyday lineups and then get some consistency there. But we want to give a quick shout out, to Maximus Freeman and everybody we know. We've seen the positive update came today from Chelsea. And Max is battling something really difficult. I'm going to try to do my best to say it. I rehearsed as much as I could. Guillain-Barré. Is that correct, Blake?
I think so.
Guillain-Barré syndrome. It's a neurological condition. Yeah, people say it pins Sandy. He's got the dog in him. And by all accounts, Chelsea gave a great update. He's doing well. Everybody's thinking about him. And things are bigger than baseball. And hopefully Freddie's back on the field. But if, take all the time he needs, it's a thing where you stay with your family. I'm a father. I've got a beautiful daughter. Would do anything for her. So we all need to give Freddie Freeman and the Freeman family as much thought and as much love as humanly possible. And if we see him on the field, as much love as could be. So great update today from that. Appreciate everybody tossing those things in chat, wishing the same type of stuff there because Freddie's a big piece to the Dodgers franchise, to the lineup. And that family's a very important part to what makes everything go with the Dodgers. So we just wanted to toss that in there real quick. But now some other news, we roll right in. So we're going to get to see Kevin Kiermaier. What was the kind of move there, Blake?
So today they optioned Hunter Fiducia for Kevin Kiermaier. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the offensive line for Kiermaier, you're going to have a lot of questions about it. He is about a 50 weighted runs created plus, which for context, that has been worse than Kike and Biggio and most of the guys on the Dodger roster this year. The upside is he might be the best defensive center fielder we have seen in the last 20 years or so, if not longer. Yeah. Probably one of the best ever. Like, he is a guy who you put him in the outfield and he's going to go catch everything out there. So not sure what his role is going to be yet. If they have him starting, I think you can live with the little offensive production just because the defense is going to be incredible out there. And if they just use him as a fourth outfielder or defensive replacement or kind of things like that, I think that's also fine. It's probably still an upgrade. I mean, over the last 2-3 months, whatever it's been, they've had Andy Pajes out in center field and has not been great. He has not played well in center field, so they needed to address the position out there. They did go the cheaper route with it, but there wasn't really anyone else who moved that you could point to and say, like, they should have went and got him as a clear center field upgrade. Tommy Edmond might even end up being their center fielder with Kiermaier as a backup. So they went and got options to play out there, which I think is just the main important thing. They didn't get any star players at any specific position. They just went and added multiple options to make the roster deeper and give them options to go out and play and field the best team they can.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a move that works well, when the other pieces are there. And I think that's something that we've got to remember. We've got to take note of. He's ranking out in the, the 97th percentile and outs above average. He's got, a big time arm. So it's someone that when he's out there, the rest of the lineup's going to be working. And that's a move where you're saying, okay, we're going to take, it's like for a move right now, for when you're looking at the options, it's not something that would be the best type of move, but it's when everybody is back. That's the type of option that, honestly is something that's very, very valuable. We're going to get to these super chats here. John Mack, I worry that they'll put Kirsch in the NLDS out of respect for him. God help us. The pitch clock and injuries really affect his durability. Rather have Knack out there. I mean, so I spoke with Clint and I thought, and I think a lot of people will agree that Kershaw can be one of two things. But he cannot be average, making it into the postseason roster. His stuff right now is not at a point where he can just be okay and make it through an outing. Is that something you kind of agree with?
I mean, I think his stuff is okay at this point, and he has to be perfect with his execution to make it through an outing, which he's going to be able to do it from time to time. He's Kershaw still. He knows how to pitch, and he's going to be on some days, and some days he's just not going to be on, and he's not going to be able to execute right, and you're going to see things go sideways. I think we have to lower our expectations and say, like, this isn't the guy who's going to come out and give you 7 innings, 6 innings, 1 or 2 runs every night. Like, this is more of a back-end rotation pitcher now at this point, where you're going to be happy with 5 or 6 innings and 3 or 4 runs probably. He just has such a small margin of error on how he needs to pitch now to be effective. It's just asking a lot from him. And I mean, if he's going to eat innings for the Dodgers and be like a 4-5 ERA guy, I think we're going to be happy with that. But it hasn't looked great his first 2 starts. I know he rushed through his rehab and there's probably some rust there still, but it's similar to what we saw last year at the end of the season and even partly before that, he just doesn't have the great stuff anymore. And it just really has to be perfect with his execution every single time.
Yeah. And I see a lot of people, echoing the same type of thing. And John Mack, thanks for that. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks for the $5. I think that Kershaw himself, if it's not good, and the Dodgers need him in the rotation, then we're talking about serious problems in terms of health and depth, and then we're approaching a situation like last year. But again, like what I've seen, and I know a lot of people noted it too, Robleski, Landon Knack, River Ryan, Gavin Stone, second year Gavin Stone in spurts, hopefully he doesn't run into a wall. But there have been enough young arms that we have seen where I have a ton of confidence in what the rookies in the second year Gavin Stone can do if they're given the opportunity. It just comes down to stuff, realistically, having enough to make it happen. For what we've seen from River Ryan, we're not going to get too far ahead of ourselves, but right now the stuff says it's major league. It's built to last up here. So let's see what happens with him. I think Justin Robleski is going to be a guy that can pitch in the bullpen. And I think a lot of us can agree with that he's a weapon out there. We don't know what Vesey is going to bring. His velocity and stuff across the board is taking a dip. And if Robleski keeps pounding the zone like he has, I don't think the Dodgers will be in a spot, John Mack, where they'll have to push Kershaw out there or require him to start in a short series. If we're talking a 7-game set, and he has the opportunity to do it in a plus matchup where there's not so many righties. Let's be honest. The Padres have had Kershaw's number for a bit. It's just, you can tee off. If the fastball's not there, you can sit slider. And I think that was the story of the game. So I think they're in a better spot realistically, even though we still have to see what we get out of Yamamoto. His bullpen's tomorrow. I know I saw somebody asking in chat about Los Stoyers. Yamamoto is a TBD. Got a big bullpen tomorrow, so we'll see. Anything else on that, Blake? I think that's kind of it. We have to see how he comes out tomorrow, right?
I mean, Yamamoto is hopeful he comes back. He's been ramping up the intensity of his rehabs and workouts, and like you said, he's going to throw the bullpen tomorrow, so that's going to be a big step for him, and how he comes out of that's probably going to determine what happens next. If he goes to another bullpen, that would be great. If they have to delay it or push it back or anything, that's when we really start to hit the panic button and concern. But he's getting to the point where he's running out of time. He's going to have to go on a rehab assignment for probably a month in September. So, yeah, there's just not a lot of time left. And the sooner he can get onto that rehab start, the better, so he can come back and make maybe 1 or 2 starts in the regular season and go from there. So
Yeah.
it's just he needs to make some progress quickly for him to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And shout out to the 600 in here. We appreciate you guys joining us on an off day. Nothing overly to be mad about. Just take a breath, take a breather, and look ahead. Hopefully, we get to see some more of these additions join in. But take a second, please hit the like. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this around. We appreciate you guys. A lot of people check these out on the VOD, on the post, and appreciate you guys a ton. Got a couple more super chats here. Kira, this is one that is kind of where Blake and I align on, that it's just there's so much left to work with when looking at the additions that they just made, guys who are going to come back. But the lineup, Blake might not have this off the top of his dome, but projecting a lineup, I don't need you to give me the batting order. Just tell me, what you project and what you feel and your gut's telling you about. Let's say Freddie makes it back. He joins, like everything goes beautifully and he rejoins the team. Max makes it back. How do you kind of see the defensive positioning slot out? And from there, I don't need you to say the batting order.
Okay, Will Smith's going to be catching, Freeman at first. I think we'll see a platoon of Lux and Rosario at second base. I'm going to say Tommy Edmond's going to be at shortstop. And then Max Muncy at third. They're going to put Mookie back in right field, Teoscar in left, and center field. I think it's going to be a platoon of Edmond, and then Rojas will slide in at shortstop, and Kiermaier out there. So that kind of leaves Jason Hayward as your fourth outfielder. If you need to kick Mookie in to play second base in a platoon with Lux, you can do that as well. The point here is they have a lot of options on how they can mix and match. You have multiple guys who are worthy of starting now that can play multiple positions. So it's kind of a good problem to have. It's just they need to actually get all healthy and get on the field together and go from there. But it's going to be a much better team than we're seeing on the field right now.
Yeah. And it's does that, like, saying that out loud and thinking of that, does that make you hopeful of what this team can do?
Yeah, I think so. And like, I'm talking about the options here. Like, even if you don't have Mookie in the outfield and you keep him at shortstop or second base or whatever, then you have Edmond as your starting center fielder. You have a platoon in right field of Rosario and Hayward. And like, those are such better options than that they've had for the entire year. Like, Kike hasn't produced, Taylor hasn't produced, Biggio hasn't produced. There's just a long list of guys who haven't produced, James Outman. So they've taken the team from 5 or 6 guys on the roster who just give you nothing to having a pretty complete group of quality major league players. And you don't need them to be superstars. They have the stars. We know they have the stars with Mookie and Shohei and Freddie, Teo, Smith, Muncy. It's just about filling out the rest of the lineup and getting quality major leaguers there. And they did that, and they have a lot of options on different ways they can go to put that on the field. So it's encouraging. I mean, if they're healthy, I'm not sure there's a better team in baseball than the Dodgers. It's just they need to get healthy and stay healthy and then produce like they can.
Perfect. And Kenny, I agree with you, Blake. And Kenny, like, smoke and mirrors, like the breakthrough, we'll see. It's peculiar that, there's been nothing on Max. He's been able to do everything defensively, rotational work with stuff with medicine balls, everything aside from swinging a bat. And then just recently there's a breakthrough. So we'll see how that holds up. But the fact that the Dodgers training staff kind of was perplexed on it, and who knows, man, like Muncy comes back. We're talking about a lineup, linchpin right in the center of it that we talked a ton. Yeah. And I agree. It's definitely weird. It's definitely weird, but it also doesn't make me like, I would be concerned if there was more of a setback with his physical stuff. Like if there was, something big there and then they had to shut him down. But the fact that it was just, he woke up one day and it was different. And they said, yeah, chiropractor. So it doesn't make me concerned for him. If anything is more hopeful than just shutting him down, because that would make me say he's out. So it's just about getting these pieces back. And not a lot of other teams are dealing with as much as this than the Dodgers. We're talking Muncy, Mookie, Freddie, all out at the same time. And a bottom of the order that has produced nothing. We're talking absolutely zero. I wish I had Jeff's clip. Friedman's done nothing. I wish I had that to play right now, but they've done nothing at the bottom of the order. So I think, once you get that back in and positive updates have happened, we're getting into that green zone where we're talking about the month where players are going to start to come back in and go into the fold. And then we're going to start to see, Matty, man, a lot of Ks there, a lot of stuff like that. So but we're going to transition some positive news about, my favorite 1-year Dodger. Teoscar Hernández wins the Dodgers Heart and Hustle Award. How big of a deal is this, Blake? Because, to the award, it's a player that best embodies the values, spirits, traditions of baseball, factoring in on-field performance. Is this just another feather in the cap of what Teo's done this year, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really special award for players. It's voted on by their peers and means a lot to them when they win those kind of awards. It's more special to them than the ones like the writers are voting on, stuff like that, just because it's your teammates who are recognizing you as someone who's like a great person on and off the field. The Dodgers have a list of guys who have been named for it that like you remember as positive players with the Dodgers, like Justin Turner, Chase Utley. It's just those types of guys are the ones that win it. So for Teo to come in first year and win it, like absolutely great for him. Now he goes on to a list of voting that's going to be against every other player for their respective team who won it, like Christian Walker, your guy Brenton Doyle, former future Dodger Willie Adames, Francisco Lindor. Like, there's just a lot of really great players on that list. So, yeah, hopefully Teo can go win one. And yeah, I mean, it's awesome for him.
To keep adding to the to an awesome 1-year contract that he signed with the Dodgers. And I'll say it, everybody else in chat will agree. It's just hopefully find some way in their just absolute penny pinching budget to re-sign Teoscar Hernández, to a couple years, man. I'm not asking for much. I'm asking 3 years, talking $75 million, That sound pretty good, Blake? Grogu just shook his head on your noggin. He said yes.
I think that would be good and get it done. I am pretty confident Teoscar is going to stay with the Dodgers. If I had to bet on that, I'd put it at like 75% odds. Like,
that's crazy because you're usually just like, nah, nope.
It makes too much sense for it to happen.
Yeah.
The Dodgers need him. Teoscar wants to be here. The qualifying offer is going to play into it and affect his market.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure teams are going to want to pay draft picks and a huge contract for a guy who's going to be 32 years old. And like we've seen with a lot of Dodgers in the past, they perform well with the Dodgers and then get paid and kind of regress. So that might make teams a little hesitant there. It probably won't as much with Teoscar, but I still think the age, the money, and the qualifying offer is going to play a factor into it. So I'm just really confident a deal gets done between them at some point. I'd be a little surprised if it doesn't happen during the season. They like to make those late season extensions in August or September. So sometime coming up here soon. And if it doesn't, I'm sure it'll get done in the off season. Like, they might want to just focus on the season, try and win a World Series, and then go from there. But I think he's going to be a Dodger for a while here.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think him adding to his list of accolades with the team, the Dodgers are big on clubhouse people. It's no secret about it. They've done this quite a bit. In him joining, Freddie Freeman last year, Trey Turner the year before that, Chris Taylor in 21, and then Max Muncy in 2019. I think that it says so much about who he is. And I'm just going to keep drawing back to the Blue Diamond Gala where he dapped me up and David Vassegh called me out straight in front of Teoscar and said, "Teoscar, I got your biggest fan right here." And I was just beaming. He's just such a good dude. He's just an embodiment of just a terrific person. And I hope that deal gets done. And I hope he goes on and wins the Heart and Hustle Award. We got a couple more super chats here. Luis, this is one that I think right now you got to see kind of where the team is at in terms, like we're talking and I know the Padres, they hats off to them. They won that little 2-game set. They bounced back from 5 down. But they're playing a Dodgers roster that looks nothing like what the Dodgers can field, when things are all right. Like, it is not, we're talking one player who is currently out, and it's not escaping it. It's not taking anything away. Dodgers have put a brutal collection of bench options and role players together. And that's why they brought in multiple pieces to remedy it. And that's why we're banking on multiple guys to come back and improve the roster. So need both of you to give me a scale of 1 to 10. How confident do you think the Dodgers can beat the Padres in a playoff series? Now we project to that, Blake, with the roster that you said a little bit ago, with all guys all coming back, projected to come back, the pieces that we both like, and we're trying to win people over on liking. Where's your confidence level on that?
I think for me, I'm looking at this as two parts. Can they do it? 10 out of 10. Like, there's no doubt they can do it. Any team in baseball can beat any team in baseball in a 5-game series. If the A's were facing the Padres, they could scrape out 3 wins in the right time. Like, that's baseball. It happens. The Dodgers can absolutely beat the Padres. I think looking back, the 2022 season when the Dodgers dominated the Padres throughout the entire season and then lost in 4 games and 3 consecutive games to get eliminated. Like, that's a great example right there of how random the postseason is and how the regular season's kind of meaningless once you get there. If we're going to talk about it, like, where am I betting? Like, where's my confidence meter on this? I'd probably be at like 55 to 60%. I think that's how most playoff series are around there.
Yeah.
Most of them are probably more like 52, 48, whatever. But
sure,
I think if the Dodgers are healthy, Yamamoto's there, Flaherty, Glasnow is your top 3. You have Mookie, Shohei, Freddie, Smith, Teoscar, and whoever else you want to throw in the bottom of the lineup there. Like, there's not many teams that are on paper better than that. So I would probably be around the 60% confidence mark in winning that series. And like, that's not to say the Dodgers are going to win that series or anything. That's still a 40% chance that the Padres are going to win. And I think that's what a lot of times people forget with like numbers and stats like that. Just because there's a good chance of it happening doesn't mean it's going to happen. So I'm pretty confident in them regardless, but it's still a toss-up at the end of the day, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. Their Padres have put together a very solid roster. And it's the same reason why I was on Dodgers territory the other day. And I gave a lot of credit to AJ Preller. He feels his roster is at a point where you can go out and you can make these moves, that the finishing touches to your team are back end guys to shorten those games. And they've got 2 front end horses, and the Dodgers are currently waiting on that second one. They possibly got it. I think they got it in Jack Flaherty. And that's why we're both so high on him. Jack Flaherty's having, by all accounts, one of the best years of his career. So what Jack Flaherty brings is another front end option, someone who has the strikeout numbers, someone who hasn't been walking guys. He's been doing things himself. If he had 4 more innings, he'd have the 3rd best expected FIP in all of baseball. So it's someone that I'm very confident in. I know he's happy to be a Dodger, and it gives the Dodgers a 1-2 punch that I'm very certain on. And in the first game, I saw people saying that the Padres beat the Dodgers, front end starters. Glasnow had a 5-0 lead, and if the bullpen doesn't blow it, Dodgers win that game. But that just emphasizes the amount of stress the bullpen has had. Blake Treinen's done that multiple times. He's had trouble with his cutter, and then Clayton Kershaw. What are you going to do? Dude didn't have it. It's the same thing he did in the postseason. When he doesn't have it, it looks terrible. He's going to slog his way through it, and you're just not going to find much production there. So I'd have a lot more safer bet, say, even if River Ryan went out there. I feel very strongly about what River Ryan can bring over what Clayton Kershaw can currently bring in terms of consistency and stuff. But that's a whole nother different conversation. I don't think we're ready to make until we see like 5 starts out of Kershaw, and then we'll get to there. But we need to bring up Walker Buehler. One more super chat. Sorry. Oh my goodness. Why do we keep trying to put Mookie back in right field? He doesn't want to play right field so much that he chose 3rd hardest position on the field. Thanks for the super chat. We appreciate it. Blake, you want to take this one? I feel like you've been more open to putting Mookie Betts back in the outfield than I am.
I think for me, it's just about putting the best team on the field that you possibly can. And if that ends up being Mookie in right field, that's what he should be doing. I know he doesn't want to play right field. He says he'll play wherever he wants or wherever the Dodgers want him to. And that's great. It's beneficial for the Dodgers, but I know in the past there have been some questions about how much he wants to play right field, and he definitely wants to be an infielder. That's for sure. And maybe it helps him and stay focused and kind of helps him at the plate a bit when he's more locked in playing the infield. But if the best spot is to have Gavin Lux at second with Tommy Edmond at shortstop, you kind of run out of options of where to play Mookie, and he's a Gold Glove right fielder. They haven't had much production from their outfield this year, and that's a real easy fix on how to fix it there. So, I mean, it's going to be where is he going to play? It's going to be where are the Dodgers the best when Mookie is in right field or shortstop or second base, And it's going to come down to that and how other players are doing.
Absolutely. I'm thankful that they attack needs, that it's going to make this decision, maybe a little bit tougher, but easier in terms of having like solid options there where it's saying, hey, we don't want to keep stressing Mookie and stretching him thin, because I blamed Gavin Lux for having to put Mookie Betts at shortstop, and that caused the big downward trend in his offense. It was the clear thing. After the first month, he just started a trend straight down offensively. And the only factor that changed is him playing a position where he had never done it before. It's a very stressful position, shortstop, and it's asking a lot of a over 30-year-old superstar to learn a brand new position on the fly right before the regular season and expect him to play it well. So I hope they realize that. So I co-sign that with you. I don't care how they have to do it. I hope they find a spot where Mookie Betts doesn't have to play a ton of shortstop. If it's the same thing like last year, where it's sparingly that he plays infield sometimes, and the offensive performance just kind of upticks there when he gets to change, gets his feet on the dirt instead of the grass. There's something to it where it's a different type of thing, where it's, maybe it's fun, maybe it's a new challenge for him instead of having to completely learn something. So I think that's more of the way that I want to go with it. And I'm just thankful that they have new, more options, more surefire options at the infield to go that route. All righty. This is something that I don't know if we can take Walker Buehler completely out.
We do have one more super chat.
Okay, hold one sec. Let me get through this. I'm going to double back again. Oh, I see it. I got it. I'll get right to it. But Walker Buehler tonight again, he go in AAA with OKC. He goes 3 1/3, allows 4 earned runs, 7 hits, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts, gets 11 whiffs, and has a 27% called strike whiff percentage. Where are you kind of at with where Walker Buehler has progressed into the minor league since he's come back?
The same I was before he came back, and the same
Yes,
I've been throughout the entire process. I don't have any faith Buehler's going to come back and be effective. I think people need to remember the list of pitchers who have come back from a second Tommy John surgery and still been an effective pitcher is very, very slim. And the list of guys who have had 2 Tommy John surgeries and have not coming back is very, very long. I think Buehler coming back and making starts is already an accomplishment for him after this second surgery. But players don't tend to be effective when they come back. Plus, we saw concerns with his stuff and the decline in it before he even had the injury and surgery. After the sticky stuff ban, when MLB started cracking down on it, he saw significant changes in his pitches, and he was way less effective. I think he had a 4-something ERA before he had the injury. So
yeah,
I don't think we're going to see 2018 Buehler ever again. I'm pretty confident in saying that. It's sad to say, but this is kind of closer to who he is now, and I'm sure he'll catch on with another team in the offseason and get a chance to pitch somewhere, but I wouldn't hold out any hope for him coming back and being effective, especially after he took time away from the team, going to Florida to be on his own. The Dodgers said, sure, go do that, whatever. Like, that's not something teams do when they're confident they can figure out and fix a player. So for the Dodgers to say, go do your own thing and try that if you want to, and then come back and we'll see if that fixed you, and then he comes back and he still struggles and his rehab starts, like, what does that kind of say about him? Like, there's not much in the tank left.
For sure. And do you think, are we still at a point in the season? We probably are. This is probably, a question you could just say yes to. Where are we still at a point in the season where just eating innings is okay to have some guys there, just eat innings?
Yeah. In late August, September, that's when it gets to really be a grind in the season. Sure. You kind of know who the playoff teams are going to be for the most part.
Yeah.
And a lot of players on bad teams maybe check out a little more. Players on the winning teams maybe take their foot off the gas a little more. And especially with the Dodgers, they have a lot of injury concerns with their pitchers. You're going to need innings. We've talked about the bullpen being overworked and that causing issues for them. You're going to need innings to protect them. So there's going to be a spot for Buehler to come back and throw innings for them. I'm not confident it's going to be anything productive where you're going to say, like, get this guy on the postseason roster.
Yeah, and I see it, people talking about it in chat about Walker Buehler and maybe even Clayton Kershaw in the bullpen. I don't think Blake and I will even be able to scrounge an argument, for either of them, just because I believe Clayton Kershaw is best in a starting role, but that's if his stuff is dialed in. His stuff is not good enough to not be perfect. It's not good enough for it to be, you can come in like the 2019 when Dave Roberts brought him in to face the Nationals and he blew the lead. That was like stuff where it was like, okay, if he got out of that inning, then he got out of that inning because his stuff was good in a relief role. I don't think that his stuff is at a point that, you can rely on it in a reliever role at all. Like he's no fireman anymore. He's not high velocity anymore. That slider, he lives and dies by fastball command and tunneling off the slider. And it's perhaps maybe one of the best pitch in big league history at its peak. You know what I mean? And Walker Buehler, same type of thing. He doesn't have the feel for the strike zone anymore. So I know it's like asking like just to, one last thing for these guys. One last thing for Buehler before he's off. Like the Dodgers don't re-sign him. I don't see them having a spot there. They don't have good enough stuff to be in the bullpen.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's easy to say throw them in the bullpen, but as we've seen, you also need good relievers, and putting ineffective starters in the bullpen isn't going to make them necessarily effective.
Yes.
It can help some guys, but usually the guys it helps are the ones who already have elite stuff, and that's not Buehler. That's not Kershaw anymore. So it's going to be easier to just say, like, thanks for your contributions. You're not going to be on the playoff roster. They don't have to DFA anyone at that point or anything. And for the meantime, they're probably just going to end up eating innings and then put your best 26 on the postseason roster and go from there.
And that's why we're so confident in guys like Justin Robleski, River Ryan. And there's a comment right here. We'll just toss in there and then super chat, I promise. Yongi, thank you so much again. We appreciate almost 800 in here. Spread this around. Appreciate you guys tuning in on Off Day Thursday. Which one of these rookie pitchers would be best fit in the bullpen? Justin Robleski, Landon Knack, or River Ryan? You can long win this one because I think you and I have roles for both or all three of them. Who do you think most best fits in the bullpen?
I think River Ryan is the best option just because he is the best pitcher of the three, in my opinion. He has the best stuff. He's looked great. He's looked mature when he's on the mound, and the command has been there. He's looked ready for the moment. Yeah. So I think River Ryan is the clear number one. However, because of that, he's also probably your best starting rotation option, and seems like they're getting to the point where they might need him in the rotation. So let's say River Ryan's going to be in the rotation. I'm going to say that. That leaves me with Robleski as my pen option there because he has good stuff. They need a lefty probably, especially with Vestia struggling. I think Landon Knack, he's a really good pitcher as a starter. I don't think the stuff is going to play up in the bullpen. He reminds me of like a Ross Stripling type where, sure, you can bring him out of the bullpen and get a few innings out of him, but it's never going to be like elite high leverage arm, and he's never going to be an elite top of the rotation starter. He's kind of a fourth to fifth starter / swingman type pitcher. So I don't think they're going to put Knack in the bullpen unless it's later in the season to eat innings. I don't see him as part of the postseason picture at all, though.
Yeah. And yes, spot on. Let Blake cook. That's why he's here. Hammers it out for me. All righty. Saki Bomb right here. Okay. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thanks for the $10. Again, we'll stop everything. Blake will keep me in check and toss these up here immediately. We'll be on here as long as you guys want. We were going to keep it short, but we'll keep it going if we have some super chats. If the bottom drops out with failed injury players coming back or not coming back at the same level with the roster we have, are we still making the playoffs? It's a good question. I think we still make the playoffs. I think they're good enough to make it to the playoffs. As far as winning in the playoffs, that's a big no. Like if Mookie doesn't make it back or has a setback, with his wrist, Max Muncy suffers a setback, doesn't make it back. Freddie Freeman, doesn't come back to the team. Absolutely not. I don't see it. If they slog in, then they get in just because the pitching figures itself out. They find a way to prevent runs. Defense ticks up and they just scrap some runs together because I do like the bench options they brought in. I think it does raise the floor enough that the offense will be competent. Like it'll be solid, not spectacular, but they'll win enough games. But as far as matching up with some of the most like the big time guys, like against the Padres, against the Phillies, I don't think it does. I really don't. So that's a scary thought. That's a $10 super chat that I'm like afraid to read and think about, you know?
So for me, playoffs, almost a lock. Fangraphs has them at 98% odds. Expanded postseason, last year there were 2 teams that made it to the playoffs with 84 wins. The Dodgers have 63 already. They have to win 21 games in their next, 60 left or whatever to get to that point. Like, the playoffs are a lock at this point. And even if you don't get all your injured players back, you're going to get some of them back. You're going to get Freddie back. You're going to get Mookie back. And Freddie and Mookie coming back is enough to push this team into the playoffs easily, without question. Playoffs locked. Don't have to worry about that. All we should be thinking about is what is the roster going to be when they get to the postseason, and is everyone going to be healthy? If everyone's healthy, I'm not sure there's a better team in baseball. If everyone's not healthy, there's going to be a lot of questions that they're going to have to push through. They're really going to need their players to step up, their stars. You're going to need Mookie to come through in the playoffs. You're going to need Ohtani to be Ohtani. You're going to need Freeman to come through and keep hitting. You're going to need Will Smith to get back on track. Teoscar's going to have to keep doing what he's been doing all year. Like, there's a path to them winning even if they don't get fully healthy, and that's kind of the randomness of the playoffs. You don't see the best team win every year. If the best team won every year, then the Dodgers would have 5 World Series in the last, 15 years by now? Yeah. But they don't. Last year, we saw the Diamondbacks come through with 2 or 3 really good players, some role players, and
guys got hot.
3 pitchers. They got hot at the right time.
They got hot.
Like, any team can do that. So, I wouldn't be as confident in them. Like, they'd still have the ability to, as long as Mookie, Freeman, and Ohtani are at the top of their lineup. Just about getting hot at the right time, and the stars being the stars and the role players being the role players.
Absolutely. Saki Bomb, thank you so much for that. And I'm going to follow it up with this right here, and don't answer it yet, because I'm going to ask Blake, do you think they're still going to win to the division? Hold on. And then 2, do you care?
Okay. Yes, they'll win the division. I think they have about 80% divisional odds right now. And like, they just need to tread water for 2 weeks. Then in 2 weeks, you're going to have multiple stars back. You're going to have
let him cook.
Guys.
This is it. This is exactly what I wanted to get out of Blake tonight. This is exactly it. So lock in.
Well, and you're cutting me off.
Yes, they have to listen up.
Yeah, I mean, 2 weeks, they're going to have guys. Mookie will probably be back in around 2 weeks. Freddie should hopefully be back by then. We're not going to rush him or anything, but it seems like that's probably going to be at least by then. Hopefully Will Smith kind of turns it around by then. Teoscar is going to keep being Teoscar. Muncy's probably maybe a month to a month and a half away, so you're going to have to live without him, but you're going to have Ahmed Rosario. You're going to have Tommy Edmond. They're going to have more options now. Hopefully Gavin Lux keeps it going, and like, this team's going to lock in at some point and figure it out and just go on a run. They're not going to keep playing poorly all year. There's ups and downs in baseball, and they're going to be okay. They're probably going to win the division still. I'd bet on that one. So it's just really about them getting healthy, and that's all there is to it at this point.
Yep, just a luxury of time, and that the fact that they've got a little bit of a division lead, and the fact that they'll be able to win enough games to get themselves into the dance and get healthy at the right time when it matters. Because Matty Man, I mean, if you haven't said that you don't care about the bye week or like the first seed and whichever, if you haven't said that in your life, then I mean, I think everybody has wondered, why don't we just make it into the playoffs instead of having that extra time off? Like, just get into the dance and have it happen there. Just get in there and see what goes on. Find yourself healthy. Don't go into a position where you're like last year and you have to start Lance Lynn in a playoff game, Bobby Miller, who never did it before, and Clayton Kershaw in fumes after his stuff already ticked way down. It's just about avoiding that type of stuff and giving your offense and your pitching staff a chance to give either one, just get in. You can't have a spot where your lineup, your offense is down 6-7 runs before they're even a chance to step into the box every game. Because then it's like that never even happened. That was the fastest playoff series ever. Tip your cap to Arizona. Like, they were prepared. That's just how it is. But you have to be able to have one side, play with the other, and then give off, have a balance. That's what the Dodgers did right now. They found a balance, and I think it'll be good. They've got time. And I'm with Blake. You can't imagine winning a playoff game and winning. That's a good thought, because for a lot of questions around the team is, can they flip that switch in a one game? Like, I have all the confidence in the world in them in a playoff series, but in a one game back against the wall, Somebody's got to step up. And I was listening to Tim Cates last night on AM 570 on the drive home from work. And it was like, I thought to myself, in the Padres series, Dodgers look like they're a replacement team. Like they for sure look like they know they're wounded and they're just trying to get through it. Like nobody's playing, I don't know if that's just me, but that's exactly how I'm looking at it. Like they know they're just treading water, slogging through it. And it's not intimidating. And I remember talking a couple months ago, I tweeted out like nobody's afraid of this Dodgers team right now, just because they don't see any like feared guys aside from the top, and you can pitch your way around that. So I think that just like Blake's plan, once you get to a spot where you see multiple of these guys either coming back from injury, I know it's the if, and I don't want to talk about that. Don't do it, because this is the only way we can project it. Guys coming back, trade deadline additions, like lessening the need to toss some of these platoon guys into uncharted waters. I think that they're in a good spot, and we can project that they're going to get healthy at the right time. And that's what we've been asking for years about having. So I think it's in a good spot. Any disagreements there?
No, I think so. Like we're pretty much on the same page here. They just need to get healthy, and that's kind of all there is to it. If they don't, you're going to be worried. If they get healthy, they're going to be more confident. And the good news is it seems like a lot of their injuries are trending in the right way, and they've added the depth needed where even if an injury doesn't go the right way and they end up losing Muncy for the rest of the season or Yamamoto doesn't return, you have more options to kind of patch together the team instead of running out Kike Hernandez on a daily basis, Kevin Biggio on a daily basis, and getting just no production from them.
Mm-hmm. All right. Matty, man. Thank you, buddy. You might have doubled that up. I wish we could send this one back, but if you didn't, then thank you so much. Therapy sessions are much appreciated. Scott and Blake, you have 2 of them here. So if you accidentally did that, thanks for the $40. We appreciate that a bunch. You're always in here. So, Blake and I are going to be here regardless. This is kind of second half Scott and Blake, that now we asked for the front office to make these type of moves to, touch on the roster, that the things that they just lack, the things that made me uncomfortable, as somebody in my spot, as like an analyst. And then I appreciate you, Matty, man. Thank you so much, buddy. And stuff that we just know is different and why they're so successful year in and year out. It's about their floor is not as low as it's been. They're able to weather some injuries. And right now they lack the pieces to do it. And I know we repeat it all the time, but it's just been an uncomfortable spot. And it's something that I'm glad they addressed. It's just going to take a couple of weeks to really see the full benefits there.
Yeah. As fans, it's sometimes hard to have patience. We're so focused on the now. I think what the Dodgers front office does really well is they take a step back and they focus on the long term as well as the shorter term. Like short term, you obviously don't want to be running out the lineup they had out there yesterday and even for the past few weeks. Long term, you project guys coming back and the additions they made. Like there's a lot of reason for optimism behind this team, even with how bleak it looks at this moment. So it always just helps to remember that like better times are coming ahead for the Dodgers. We've seen quite often they've run through the regular season and then lose in the playoffs. So maybe they're doing it backwards this year where they struggle through the regular season a bit and then they run through the playoffs. So there's some optimism there. I hope that turns around a bit, but there's good things ahead for the Dodgers. We can say that for sure.
Absolutely. So thanks, Matty, man. We appreciate you a lot, man. Thanks for tuning in all the time and showing support out for everybody on the Dodger Blue staff, myself and Blake. Importantly, we appreciate you a bunch. I had to ask this because Nora texted me. She said she loves your bucket hat, Blake, and she wants to know where you got it.
Where did I get this? I want to say it was Hot Topic on sale on their website a while ago. I'm pretty sure. I think
it's still around. Is Hot Topic still a thing?
Apparently. I had no idea, but I'm pretty sure that's where it was from. They might have had it on Shop Disney also, but we can look into it. I'll try and figure it out.
All right.
I think it was like $10 or something, so I couldn't pass it up.
She asked what the topic was going on here, and she said Blake's got a nice bucket hat, so that was the thing. Yeah, Aaron, I haven't heard of Hot Topic since the 6th grade, something like that. For me, it was probably like 8th grade.
It's not my usual go-to shopping place.
Absolutely.
I think it was an Instagram ad. So
no, stop. That's my bit.
No, I'm pretty sure it was.
That's my bit.
I'm gonna steal that
Instagram
one from
ads,
you.
guys. If you want, if there's anything, yeah, Instagram ad is that it's one thing. My girlfriend probably walks by my phone. It says like wedding ring, engagement ring, and then my phone will start popping them up on my Instagram, and then I'll have to buy them. I'll be able to leave me no choice. Leave me no choice. All right, we got one more topic, and then we're gonna roll into some questions here. The Dodgers getting on track versus the A's. It's important, but it's also chill out, Mike. Chill out, bro. It's also important to note that the A's are not a rollover team. You know, they've got some boppers. They've got JJ Bleday, shout out to Mike Carrillo. Lawrence Butler's been playing out of his mind, and Brent Rooker. You know, they've got some studs that have been hitting the ball. But the Dodgers pitching matchup against them is something that's going to be, you know, what I like. You know, we've got Gavin Stone game 1, middle game, Jack Flaherty, and then you wrap up on Sunday with River Ryan. Yeah, Rod, I'll get you, bro. I got you. Super chat. My bad, man. What do you like most about this weekend?
I mean, as much as we talk about the A's having some good pieces, they are still not a very good club. And it's going to be a little easier for the Dodgers to match up against them without their superstars in the lineup. So I think that's encouraging to kind of get back on track. If they win 2 of the 3 games, I'll be happy. It'd be a great end to a somewhat poor road trip. So yeah, it gives them an opportunity to bounce back and just go home with a positive mindset after that. And then hopefully you start looking ahead to getting guys back and you kind of build on that. And you kind of have to beat the teams that are in front of you there. So go take care of business against the A's, come home happy, and just keep it rolling.
Yeah. All right, Rod, I got you, man. This is one that I think all Dodger fans can agree on. The saddest sight in sports is Kershaw in the dugout with his head down. Aside from Tom Brady weeping against when my Tennessee Titans knocked him out in his farewell tour. Hold on. Is that one of the saddest things in sports? Clayton Kershaw in the dugout?
One of them, yeah. I think for me, it was the Patriots losing their undefeated season. That one was real tough.
Really? Yeah. Oh, my God. That goes way back, man.
That was like near the start of my fandom. That really helped me get into sports. So that one was tough. I think the 27 World Series is tough. And, of course, that one has one of these Kershaw moments in it. So, yeah, I mean, it's up there for sure. I could see anyone putting it top 1.
Oh my God. I just remember the Patriots weeping. That was the best. All right.
I was weeping too.
Yeah, you were weeping. Good vibrations. This is a great point. Thanks for the $2, man. Texas lost the division and won the World Series. Wild card LA. Yeah. Wild card LA. I mean,
they had Corey Seager.
They had Corey Seager. Yeah, facts. You know, against Paul Sewald, who's absolutely still haunted. I think Paul Sewald sits in his bed at night with the heater on every night, and he still has cold sweats, and he stares at the ceiling, and he can't get over that. So I think the ghost of Corey Seager haunts him every day, and the Rangers were lifted up and carried by the real number 5. I mean, I don't, you know, wild card, if they go that route, great. But if they win the division and they don't have the best record, it's fine by me. I just, the layoff between the end of the season and the playoffs in your first round for the, you know, the bye week team is a big deal. I think it's actually a thing. Like, how do you buy into it, or are you kind of off that?
I think there's something to it. I think so far it's been a lot of randomness probably too. I think over time we'd see it even out a little more. So far it's been 1 or 2 years with this exact format. So I think there is some randomness to it. The Astros have seemed to have played well coming out of the break, and I'm not sure they have anything like special going on over there where they figured it out. I mean, I guess with the Astros, we can't totally rule anything out, but yeah, hopefully the Dodgers can get it figured out this year if they get that number 2 or number 1 spot even. So we'll see. I'm not like scared of going through the wild card round though.
I got to toss this in here. I only know one other Titans Dodger fan. My origin story goes back to when Vince Young broke my heart. It was the best performance I've ever seen, ever. Yeah. And then no NFL team got drafted, and then I'm a Titans fan, and then I wept for like the next 10 years, 15 years, and now we're up. Call to tell you, Blake, that I'm up. Will Levis is better than Drake May, Blake.
Okay, now you're just bored.
Nope. Next topic, no rebuttal. All righty, we're going to roll into some questions here. Toss us in, and we'll get you guys out of here on a Thursday. Shout out to the 900. We appreciate you guys. Whatever you want to talk about. I've got who's our Corey Seager, Blake? That's a good one.
Teoscar.
Yeah.
Gotta be. Teoscar built for the moment. Always stepping up.
For the moment. Built for the moment. Wow, a lot of questions tossing in. Here we go. You pick them tonight. I'll let you do that.
Okay.
Ooh, will Kershaw retire if he doesn't make this postseason's roster? I don't think so. I think he wants 3,000 strikeouts. That'll be a decision he'll make in the offseason.
Yeah. For me, I'm not sure if Kershaw cares about the accomplishment of 3,000 strikeouts as much as he does just winning again and being effective. I don't think he's going to want to go through another season of not being effective. So if he's not good enough to make the postseason roster this year, I have some real questions about him wanting to come back next year instead of just spending time with his family. He's accomplished everything he needs to at this point. Like, I'm not sure he's one who's going to chase a specific number of strikeouts or anything like that. So we'll see. If they win a World Series this year, I think he retires regardless. If they don't, he might want to try one more time to win one, but I think it'll really depend on how he feels.
Follow up with this. Hep, good to see you, man. I don't know if you joined early on, but it's good to see you tonight. Do they have the guts to do it?
I think it might come down to a conversation between them and Kershaw. I think Kershaw's going to be honest with himself, and if he doesn't feel he can contribute to the team, I don't think he's going to force them to put him on the roster or anything. But if he's average or something, I think they'll probably put him on.
Yeah, Kershaw, even in his coming back, he even emphasized that he doesn't want to be a burden on the team. And, for anyway, he rushed his way back. I think so. But Kershaw even has, the wherewithal to understand that he's not going to force his way there. If the Dodgers need him to start, then he'll do it. If they need him on the team, they'll put him on the team. But I don't think he's going to walk in there and, pound the desk and say, I have to be on this playoff roster. If it's if somebody else, if it's not the best thing for the team, then I don't think Kershaw will do that. And that'll just be a testament to who he is, what he's done, all he's accomplished. And I will die. And Clayton Kershaw will be the best starting pitcher I've probably ever watched. And I'm great with that. I'm great with that.
So we just answered the Kershaw one, but
you say what?
We just answered the Kershaw one pretty much, but we can do the first part.
You think the Dodgers play too nice? And is this the last year with Kershaw's last year with the Dodgers? Let's see. Dodgers play too nice. I think they just get on autopilot mode a lot. Especially this year is easy for that to happen just because there's so many things wrong. And players, they understand. There's only so much Ohtani can do. I think this in July, the Dodgers were 2 games under 500, 11-13. And I think Ohtani had a 176 WRC plus. So it's guys are playing, guys are slumping, but the slump is so exaggerated down the lineup. 3 areas of the roster are kind of slumping all at the same time. But for a few years now, sure. Yeah, Mike, thanks for the question. There have been times where I wonder, what's the pulse like? Why are they heading into October of 2023 into the playoffs thinking it's just another game? It's just another game, because it's not. It's not. The postseason matters, and stepping up to that matters. We talked about, the status quo stars that they have, guys who just, show up, do their job at an exceptional level and are worth every single penny. Freddie, Mookie, Will Smith, but they're not those, stand at first base and scream after a single, stuff like that. We don't see it a lot. Teoscar has done it. Ohtani's done it in the WBC. So we'll see. I think Ohtani, before they signed him, I was like, he's the guy. You want some fire on the team, he's the guy. I don't go ahead and answer that. I just want to ask, I'll follow up with a question about Dave.
I do think they have a tendency to maybe not get hyped up enough and angry enough at their opponent. A lot of teams that have gone deep into the postseason, you can kind of see they play with a fire. that it sometimes felt like the Dodgers didn't really have. So whether that's a nice thing or just like they're too professional and kind of set in their ways, there's a lot of older players that don't have that exciting flair to them. I think there might be a little something to that, but we'll see what happens this postseason and if something does need to change.
Yeah, we need to see them all in the same locker room, all in the same clubhouse, same starting lineup, and let them mesh for a little bit. That's why I'm hoping this is literally no fire. Yeah, Maddie, man, that's why I need this green zone where all these guys, they're going to be coming back and we get them into an everyday thing, maybe get some consistency. And so you don't have to play musical chairs with who you're going to slot in there. And that's kind of the way that we'll start to see that, that attitude hopefully come out. I don't want to answer this one about Seager because that's just going to be a weep fest because we know they deferred money and that's a ridiculous thing they did.
I'll talk about it.
Go ahead.
So they did make offers to him and they had discussions. Seemed like nothing ever really got close there. We don't fully know like how much they were offering or what they were willing to do there, besides that there were deferrals involved and Seager didn't really want that. And at the end of the day, he ended up taking the best offer for him. So it hurts. It's probably something they should have went and done regardless. But yeah, they did make an effort. It just wasn't their Ohtani level, Yamamoto level effort.
Okay, we're gonna.
I want you to read this one.
Wow.
Can you please read it to the chat for our podcast listeners?
If you're listening to this on pod, heavy heart reading this one. Sad moment in sports is realizing Titans, all caps, have no Super Bowl chip. Let's go Rams. Let's go Rams. Shout out to the Rams. Yeah. That's fine.
I'm endorsing the first part, not the second part.
I bet you are. Hey.
Put my Patriot hat on here.
Whatever. We sent Tom Brady packing, then he won another ring, so weep it up. Anyways, yeah, Titans have no rings. I've sat here and I've watched year in and year out and said, go Titans, go, every year after year. I watched during the terrible days. I watched Matt Hasselbeck be a Titan. I watched Zach Mettenberger be the quarterback. I've been there, done that. I've wept. Like anybody tells me I don't deserve. Yeah, Jake Locker. Shush.
What do you mean God. The terrible days? They're still in the terrible days.
Relax, buddy. Take it easy. Take it easy. Hey, I was there Sunday night game against the Rams, right? With the Super Bowl year when that happened. That was my Super Bowl. If you want to know, that was my Super Bowl.
We'll throw this one up since it's related, and then we'll get back to Dodgers.
Aaron, I'm not that old. That stinks. Thanks for the question. I'm 31. I'm not that old. Oh my God. No, but I will say that the second Derrick Henry signed in Baltimore, I bought a half off Derrick Henry Oilers jersey and it looks awesome. So thanks. That is the Titans own the Oilers logo. So I don't want to hear any Texans fans acting otherwise. Let's see. Assuming that Dodgers and NLDS rank these opponents you want to face most to face least. It's a good question. Brewers, Braves, Mets, D-backs, Padres, Cardinals, Pirates. Go.
I think I'm putting Cardinals number 1, Pirates 2, Diamondbacks 3, I guess. Mets 4, Braves 5, Brewers 6, and Padres 7.
It's a good list. I co-sign all that. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, any of these teams can win. You don't want to face any of them ideally, but that's the playoffs and you're going to have to. So it's kind of a toss-up on a lot of them. I mean, the Brewers have great pitching and they always kind of seem to figure things out. They could get hot at the right moment. The Braves, a lot of injuries, but they are the Braves and they still have some good players there. The Mets offense has been fantastic, but they don't have pitching. The Diamondbacks are one of the thorns in the Dodger sides. I don't think anyone would want to see Christian Walker facing them.
It's a familiarity thing, man. I agree with all those. Like, it's just the teams that we see all the time. They know tendencies and they know, they watch it year in and year out. They see the Dodgers win the division and they know it. Like, it hasn't mattered. Like, it has not mattered. So anything to avoid in-division matchups in the postseason are fine by me. I'll take the Mets. I'll take the Braves. Like, I would begrudgingly take the Braves because the Braves can turn it on at any point, but I'll take the Brewers, Cardinals, Pirates, Mets. Fine. The in-division matchups are tough. Those are really difficult things just because from a familiarity standpoint, the crowds always bring it. That'd be the worst. face of the first round against the Padres or the D-backs would be the worst.
Yeah. So the Pirates, for me, their offense isn't very good. I know they have two great pitchers at the top there with Jones and Skeens, but I mean, it's a 5-game series still, and I think you can kind of deal with that. And just because you have the pitching edge one game, it doesn't mean you're going to be the team that wins or loses. Like, there's so much that goes into it. So I'm not too worried about the Pirates if they had to play them.
Yeah, I mean, even they, like the matchup between, all things considered, health considered, I think the Dodgers line up, like just like Blake said earlier, like it matches up with anybody. We just have to see it. Everything is going to look differently when we get there. Now we're getting into the season where, Blake, you're unscared of Jack Sawinski, are you? Barry Bonds against the Dodgers.
Yeah. We'll see. Hopefully their lefties are pitching better and kind of keep them out. Maybe they can make Kershaw the Sawinski specialist there.
Oh God. You know, Hep, that's why we have Robleski. Okay, buddy, sit tight. I got a Robleski for you.
Yeah. And Banda
right.
Express.
Yeah. Sounds, I like that. I like it. All right. What else we got here? Is this the Austin Barnes farewell tour?
If Kershaw is done after this year, probably, but still, like, Austin Barnes has been having a really good year as their backup catcher. I think he does have one more year on his contract after this season, so he might stick around still, even without Kershaw. I mean, they're not going to get a realistic upgrade, probably. Like, they'd have to go and spend actual money to get an upgrade that they could spend on a bullpen piece or something, so he'll probably be around, to be honest.
All right, GI, thanks for the question. Good to see you in here, man. Thanks for hanging out with a couple shows tonight. With Gratterall, Brazier, and Michael Grove returning soon, who stays, who goes? There are not, and I repeat, not enough seats in the bullpen. Blake, who's kind of your first or second exit from the pen?
I don't think people want to hear it, but Honeywell is probably one of the guys who's going to be the first to go if they need a spot here soon.
Can I ask you though, real quick, before you do that, what about Vesia taking a blow?
Yeah, that's the other option there. I mean, they'll probably kind of manipulate the bullpen and get guys rest and days off and stuff. Trying to pull up their bullpen here so I don't forget anyone.
I got Hudson, Trinan, Evan Phillips, Kopech, Joe Kelly, Vesia, Anthony Banda, and Brent Honeywell.
Yeah, I mean, they're not getting rid of Trinan or Hudson. They're not getting rid of Phillips. Banda has earned his spot. Vesia, maybe he gets optioned or something to kind of figure things out. It's going to be a little tricky for them. They're going to have to make some decisions that they probably don't want to make. But, yeah, I mean, I think Honeywell, Vesia being optioned, and I don't even know the last spot. Probably an IL move or something.
Any shot that Evan Phillips gets a stint, or like, I agree with you that they just keep letting him figure it out at the big league level, but any shot that Evan Phillips sees some time so they can go diagnose what's going on.
Well, they can't send him to the minors without his consent and passing him through waivers, so it'll have to be an IL stint, which probably a possibility there if he doesn't turn it around here soon. They're going to utilize the IL. It's just about who is the least healthy at the time. And,
I think Vesia is the clearest option there just because of the signs we've seen so far and the numbers. And it's going to get pushed a little bit, but people don't want to hear it. Brent Honeywell, turtleneck man. He's been dialed, but he'd be the first to go. Wish he'd stay. Screwballs are fun. All right. I want to get this one here. Victor, thanks for the super chat. Thanks for the question, man. Who do you think will be the closer in the postseason? Kopech looks nice. I know. I want to say it. I mean, is he a fireman? Is he the fireman guy, or is he the closer?
I have to see it more. I mean, he has not been good this year, and he had his nice outing with the Dodgers, but he's been a negative wind reliever for the entire year so far. So let's see it a little more before we set him into any high leverage roles or anything yet. For who their closer is, I think I'm going to say Daniel Hudson by committee.
Bang.
Hudson's going to get the majority of the chances, but you're going to see everyone kind of mixed in there. It'll be a lot like 2020 where they don't really have a set closer and they just kind of go with matchups. Or it was Julio who did a lot of the closing that year and the game 7. So stuff like that, they'll get creative and figure it out.
Yeah, I'm You know me. I'm a big honey guy, or a Huddy guy. My bad. Yeah, little Doc.
Honey is good too.
Yeah. All right. What do we got? Give me a good one.
There's baseball not in the Olympics. There's some talks about it coming to the 2028 Olympics. I think it's a lot of MLB having problems trying to like figure out how to get players involved with it and all that, and like risking injury and everything. But it might come down the line. We'll see.
Yeah,
Ohtani wants it
and stuff.
Yeah, the WBC is basically the baseball Olympics, and it's always a lot of fun. So we have some WBC haters on our staff, but not me and Scott.
WBC is electric. That is like one of the most fun baseball atmospheres ever. So, yeah, can't wait. I'm always excited every time it's around. It's terrific. It's just good stuff, man. It's how baseball should be rooted for, to be honest.
My dad said we don't want the Mets right now. I mean, sure.
Big Roger. What a dog, man.
The only undefeated team in the NFL right now is all of them because they haven't played games yet. So I know what he's referring to, but we're not going to talk about it. So moving on.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what are the odds that Yamamoto is able to pitch again this season? Javier, thanks for tuning in, man. Thanks for the question. Blake?
I'm going to say like a 6.5, maybe even a 7.
Man.
Yeah. I mean, throwing the bullpen tomorrow, that's a big step. If he comes out of it feeling well, I'll be pretty optimistic about a return. So he just has to he keeps saying he has no pain. Dave Roberts says he has no pain. So I think there's a real chance he does come back. But like I said earlier in the show, 60-70% is still a high odds of it not happening. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, and it's just I'm very thankful that the Dodgers knew that it's just you have to find another front end option. So let me pose this question here. If Yamamoto does not make it back, right? Are you comfortable with the 1-2 of Glass now and then Jack Flaherty, and then you're going with some options after that? Do you think they have enough any shot? Like, I'm so high on the River Ryan train right now that I'm like, yeah, if we keep seeing this like postseason rotation type stuff, all right. Like, if Yamamoto doesn't make it back, like, do you see enough there to be, you could match up a rotation where something could work out?
Probably. I think you have a really good starting point there, which is all you kind of need. I'm pretty high on River Ryan with what we've seen so far. I think he can be a solid starter if they need him to be there in like that third spot. I'm not like totally giving up on Gavin Stone being effective, even though he's been in a bit of a downtrend recently.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of options. Like maybe they go with a Knack and Wrobleski platoon kind of thing for 7 innings in a postseason game, 8 innings. I think that would be fine. The Dodgers always seem to figure out the rotation and the pitching staff mostly, except for last year, which very much an outlier, I believe. I keep saying I feel like they punted last season a bit to focus on this year, and I still believe that. So
yeah,
that's an outlier year for me. But other than that, like they've put together pitching staffs that can be effective in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
And Rich Hill coming back.
I'm going to say this one and one more. How many starts do they give Kershaw, Blake? Before they start, we'll modify it. Just how many starts before they really harshly start to evaluate him? Or are they already doing that?
I think it's going to be like 8 or something. Well, that probably takes him to the end of the season. Yeah, I think he's going to pitch till the end of the season, though. Like, as long as he's healthy, I don't think they're going to remove him from the rotation. I mean,
Kenny said 3.
I think 3's rushed because
I said 5 earlier with Clint. I said 5. I was like 5, and then I might have been on here, but like 5, like is where I really started to think, okay, we know the max of what we're going to get out of him.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. He really rushed through his rehab assignment, though. So I think they're going to kind of give him some grace because of that. They needed starters and pushed him back sooner than they probably would have if they were completely healthy. But I just don't see them taking him out of the rotation or anything until the playoffs come and then kind of figure it out from there.
It's a good point. Let's see. I think that's it. I think we're good. Unless you see one more, I'll open you have a 5-second window.
We could throw this one up.
The Dodgers don't go far in the playoffs. Is there an argument to be made for a get younger, eat some contracts, rebuild? I would say no. I don't think so. It's a no possibility thing for me. I don't like eating the contract of like Mookie, Freddie, like that would be just to say, yeah, we have Ohtani. We just signed Ohtani. We just signed Yamamoto, Glass now. That would be a monumental, collapse organizationally if the Guggenheim group suddenly goes broke and they have to sell off all these players and get them out of the organization and go that route. Like I don't see any shot. Like there'll be a movement in the manager and then go from there. Maybe Brandon Gomes exits. But I don't see any way that way.
Yeah. For the core guys, I don't see it. I think there's a discussion for that, like on the fringes, like instead of Jason Hayward and Kike and Taylor and Biggio types, you try and get younger around there with some internal guys or whatever. But other than that, it's kind of, they're locked into this team for a few more years. So that's kind of what it's going to be. Maybe they don't go with Miguel Rojas as their shortstop and top bench piece type stuff. And maybe they go younger at the backup catcher position and in the bullpen. Their bullpen is really old. That's a spot where they could get better as well.
For sure.
Or younger. So I think those are the kind of areas you'd be looking at, not like the Freddies or Mookie. Shohei obviously staying, Glass now staying. Yamamoto is already pretty young, so
yeah, Dave, there's some energy. Yeah, I see it. Yeah, there's some energy around there. But Aaron, are we all friends out of here? Blake stole my Ray-Bans the last time we had there, and he won't give them back. So we're fighting. We're gonna slap box here pretty soon. Yeah, and whoever wins gets them.
Scott left those in my car and hasn't come by to pick them up yet. It's an open invite. I also even have a Shohei bobblehead for him. So
bribing
whenever he wants to come by, he can. It's just up to him.
I'll take the bucket hat for Nora. We appreciate everybody in here. Thank you so much for joining us on a Thursday edition of DodgerHeads presented by DodgerBlue.com. I'm Scott Geirman. This is Blake Williams. Definitely knows ball. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Hit the like, subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Constant live shows, from Dodger Blue. We appreciate all you guys tuning in. We've turned it up. You guys have shown out, day in and day out. Optimism tonight. Keep an eye out for the weeks ahead. It might not get as pretty until we start to see these things come in. So just, leave us comments, watch this thing back later on. We appreciate you guys. Blake and I will see you on Sunday. Everybody take care.